let's begin. Hello, welcome to Sarah Yoga. I am Sarah and this is Nala. And today we are doing a practice for grief, for loss, or if you've been thrust into some sort of big change. Right now, currently in Los Angeles, as I'm shooting this, there are a ton of wildfires happening again this year, which kind of leaves most people feeling a little bit helpless as to how to help or what to do. So if you're just kind of feeling like you're in a weird place where things are shifting and they feel like they're out of control or your control, this practice will be for you. And we'll have our little buddy here, Nala, with us the whole time. But just an opportunity to move slow and to reconnect back with your breath and your body, so you can rejuvenate and restore and have that energy in order to deal with whatever you are dealing with. So on that note, if you have a block, great. If not, no worries. We'll also be using a pillow or a couple of pillows. If you don't have that block, we'll replace it with a pillow instead. And we're going to start on our back in a heart opener. Okay. So grab one of those pillows. Let me... get this here, Nala's food to preoccupy her. Good job! And we'll start right into our yoga. So we're going to start in a back bend and a nice breathing technique to kind of ground out and get back into our own energy. Excuse me. So if you have a pillow, great, grab that and bring it right behind you. And then if you have a block, use that. If you don't have a block, maybe take two pillows and stack it up high. Excuse me. And because you need a little bit more, something firmer to catch the weight of your head. So the pillow will come underneath the shoulders, shoulder blades, and the block will line up right underneath the back of the head. So you're left with this nice chest opener. A couple of options: you can keep your knees bent to protect that low back, or you can even let the bottoms of the feet come together for a hip opener, or maybe even just straighten out the legs completely. And when you land here, go ahead and start to take a couple of deep rounds of breath. So just notice that breath moving in and out. Yeah, you have Miss Crunchy McCruncherson here, snacking away. But if you can, see if you can really fill yourself up with your breath, starting to let the breath come into the belly, fill up into the chest. And so this practice today really isn't about being anything other than what you are. I mean, you could be doing this in your pajamas. If you don't have a yoga mat, it doesn't matter. You could be doing it on a carpet or your rug. So the point being that no matter where you are, no matter what is happening around you, there's always this opportunity or space, if you allow for it, if you take it, to start to come back into your own breath and notice what's going on in your mind and your body. And sometimes just by doing that, you start to slow everything down, feel more grounded. And so we're just going to allow ourselves to stay here for a couple more moments, breathing, feeling any sensation you notice, and by being in this particular shape. Maybe the chest is opening up on your inhales. Maybe starting to release some of that tension in the back of the throat and the jaw and the neck. And then take a couple rounds of breath and feel the base of your spine, your tailbone, where you're connected to the ground. And then whenever you're ready here, start to deepen your inhales, deepen your exhales. And then we'll start to very gently here begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Finding some movement into the body. And then we'll take the arms and reach them all the way up and over the head. And then we'll slowly just kind of roll off to either side and take that pillow out of the way and just make your way into a seat. Maybe give yourself a couple rolls through the head and the neck, shoulders. So again, this doesn't have to be anything other than, you don't have to look a certain way, you don't have to have fancy yoga clothes, you don't have to have a lot of space or sometimes even a lot of quiet. So we have her chomping off over here. I've been running around all morning teaching and probably at that point where I should wash my hair, but point being, sometimes you have to set all of that aside and take that time to really check in and notice the things that really matter. So take your hand to your lower belly, take one hand to your lower back, take a nice big breath in here. And then exhale, release. And we're just gonna bring that right hand off to the side. Inhale, lift the left hand up. Take a nice big stretch up and over. Come all the way back up, inhale. Exhale, up and over to the left. And then we'll come right onto our hands and our knees here. And as you come onto your hands and your knees, We'll start to make our way into a couple rounds of cat-cow. Not downward dog yet. We're not there yet, okay? Okay. So time for cat-cow on your inhale. Peel your heart open. Exhale, round. Take your time doing this too, really. Follow your inhales and exhales. Inhale, peel open. Exhale, round. So just a little bit of movement today to kind of move out any tension or stress. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, round. And then just give your hips a couple of circles, rolling out through the hips, rolling out through the head and the neck. Check in, so if there's any tight areas that you really need to get into, just take that opportunity right now to roll it out. And then we'll take this right into a child's pose, knees wide, the big toes together, sink the hips down, and forehead comes all the way down onto the mat. And just let yourself relax here. Let go of the head, let go of the shoulders. Really deep inhales and exhales all the way down into the low back, into the low belly. And now stop. Relax. No. And then whenever you're ready, we're gonna make our way up. If you have a puppy, throw her off to the side. Lay down. And we're gonna take this right up into a downward facing dog. So give yourself a couple opportunities to just bend one knee and then the other, pedaling out the legs. You roll out through the head and the neck. And then we'll take our time and step the right foot forward, drop that back knee down, walk your left knee back a little. Inhale, sink the hips down, roll open through the heart. Big lunge here, big stretch. Exhale, take a moment and peel yourself back, chin towards the chest. And do that one more time. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rock forward. Lean your weight over onto that left hand and we'll take it up into a twist, peeling open. And then if you would like to, if you can reach for it, rock towards the top of your left knee. Maybe bend that left knee, bring the foot up and then grab for the foot. So hug your right hip back into center and then twist open. Big heart opener, big quad stretch, big hip stretch. So a lot going on here. If you can, find your breath again. Maybe push your head back in space. Take one more inhale and then exhale. Release. So we're just gonna take that right knee back and take it right back up into downward facing dog. Again, just pedal it out. Roll through the head and the neck. And And then we'll switch here. Step the left foot forward. Walk that right knee back. Inhale, big lunge. Roll open through the heart. Feel that length, feel that strength. Exhale, fold up and over the left leg. And then come back forward. Inhale. Use your breath. Roll it open. Get nice and long. Exhale, fold. And this time on your inhale, as you come forward, lean into the right hand, and we'll twist it open to the left. Push into the heel of the hand. Roll open. Think about hugging your left hip back in, navel in, and then twisting more from your upper spine. If you want to go for it, you can rock forward onto the top of that right knee, maybe bend the knee, reaching for the foot or the ankle, and then reconnect back to the heel of your right hand and hug your left hip in. Twisting open, maybe push your head back in space. One more inhale. Exhale, release. Step that left knee back. Roll it out. Roll out through the head, the neck. And then we'll get a nice little soft back bend in by taking sort of a lazy upward dog, letting your hips drop down. And then rocking a couple times from side to side just to get into that low back. But make sure you're breathing. It's the most important thing, is to breathe. It's amazing when you start to notice, those moments where you hold your breath. It might be all the time. And then we tend to take really shallow breaths when we feel like we're under stress or all sorts of things, right? Not being seen, not being heard, or there's just like a lot going on around us. It's hard to absorb all that stimuli at one time. So eventually we're gonna come up here and we're gonna take this right into a soft pigeon pose. So we'll step that right foot back forward and walk it over to the left. Bend your knee, bring the shin down, flex your toes towards the knee, lengthen out that right leg. So before we sink into this, since we've not had a super long practice before doing this pigeon pose, you can always bring your heel a little bit closer towards your inner groin to soften it. You can always bring that block or that pillow underneath your right hip to keep your hips more square. So we're going to try and roll the right hip back, left hip forward, and then find a little arch in your upper spine. So take a little back bend. And then on your exhale, we'll lower it down to your degree. You could come down to the palms. You can use a block under your forearms or maybe come all the way down. And then just find that breath again. Deep inhales here, deep exhales. And then whenever you're ready on your inhale, we'll climb back up. Slide that right knee back out. Again, take any movement. You might roll it out. You might go back up into a downward facing dog to lengthen out that right leg. And then we're just gonna switch sides. So we'll step the left foot forward, walk it over. Same thing, finding our pigeon, flex the left toes back towards the knee. Bring the knee down, see if you can square off the hips. And then find a little bit of lift, maybe a little back bend in your upper spine. Exhale, bring it down. Let go of the head and the jaw. And then take your time, we'll start to come all the way up. Same thing, any movement here, any kind of release, counter release to that pigeon pose. If you want to come into downward dog, you can, right? Or it might just be like, oh, you know, sometimes when you are going through something, you have this lack of energy and nothing seems like you want to do it. So it might just be a child's pose that you come and take. Again, really starting to just allow your body to be where it needs to be. So it might be a hard thing, so you don't want to make your yoga practice hard, right? If you're dealing with a lot of hard things, the last thing you want to do is, you know, make your yoga practice something hard that you have to deal with. So we'll flip around here and lengthen out the legs and take a forward fold. So bend your knees a little, lift up through the chest, and then folding it up and over. So if you have access to it, you're welcome to grab for the feet. If not, don't worry about it. Just go down as far as you can. Think more about finding length in your spine. So reach your heart back out, always, no matter what the conditions are, trying to lead with your heart. And as you come up, you can point your toes and just feel that counter stretch. And we're going to take this right back onto our back. So if you do have that pillow or that block, have it close by. And we'll come all the way down onto the back. And we're going to set ourselves up for a hip flexor opening. So what this looks like is you're going to take your block and bring it underneath the hips on that lower setting, or if you're using a pillow, that's fine. Bring it underneath the tailbone or the hips, and then if you can, if it's okay on your low back, lengthen out your legs. So you get this nice opening across the front of your hips. If that's too much on your low back, don't worry about it. You can just keep your feet on the ground underneath your knees. That's still, supported bridge is still a great opening for the hips, the low back. Or maybe tuck those shoulder blades underneath you. And then feel free to find just a tiny little tilt of the chin up towards the sky. So you're keeping the front of your throat chakra, where your voice is, nice and open, but you're also keeping the back of the neck long. Come into a couple really deep rounds of breath here. And just notice where you feel this, right? We can have lots of tension in that lower spine, in the hips, in the lower belly. There's still tension in your jaw. It's okay, just notice it. See if you can feel your breath passing through the hinge of the jaw and the back of the throat. And then whenever you're ready, so again, you can always stay in these poses a little bit longer if you have the time. But when you feel like you've had enough, we'll start to walk those feet back in if they're not there already, and take that block out of the way and bring the hips down. Walk your feet a little bit wider, almost as wide as your mat, and just take a couple windshield wipers with the knees. Let them drop from side to side. You can let your head rock from side to side. And then we're just going to lengthen out the legs. Find a last few moments here just to let the entirety of your spine release. Let go of the back of the head. Feel lightness across the bottoms of the feet and the palms. Just let your body digest everything. Nice and slow here, return back to your breath. Maybe start to wiggle the fingers and the toes again. We'll bring those knees in and roll off to either side and make our way up to one final seat. So this was kind of our non-fancy, do anywhere, make yourself feel better yoga. So take one final moment here, bring your hands together at the heart and just notice how you feel. You might still be filled with anxiety or grief or loss or tension or whatever it might be, but can you find your breath again and maybe notice one small thing in your physical body and your mind that may be slightly different than when you started. And just knowing that it really does take time, take acknowledgement of your breath to realize that, you know, you're okay. Everything will be okay. And then together we'll take one last inhale. Exhale through the mouth. And then gently just bow your head to your chest. Namaste.